Hi, welcome to Technical and Engineering Academy. This is Blessed Elvis. So today we are going to do the introduction to integration, where we are going to discuss the integral of definite and indefinite integrations. Now, before we go into that, let's first look at the overview of the integration. So integration are equations where you are given, let's say, the equations of the form. You can be given a certain function, let's say, which equals to, let's say, y. In this case, you will be given such a function and then asked to integrate. If you have been asked to integrate, you only deal with this part which is on the right here, and then this function here is just let like that. Okay, so here instead of putting x, we have to include y because we are dealing this with y, which is here. So let's say you have been given f of y equals to y. So in this case, if you have been asked to integrate this, you first have to write into the standard form of the integrals. So the standard form of the integrals is where you have this nature. This is called the integral, where you have a certain function, let's say f of y, and then here we have with respect to y. So you write the equation in such a manner. So whatever function you have been given has to be here, and then it has to have the same variable here with which you are differentiating. So let's say you have been given the function, let's say f of x. If you have been given f of x, here you have to integrate with respect to what? To x. If you have been given, let's say, any other function, whatever kind of a function you have been given, you have to integrate it with respect to such a variable. You don't integrate different variables. Let's say you have been given f of x and then here you have dy. Then here you cannot integrate because this variable here and this function here are two different things. So you cannot integrate this. So this is how it is. So whenever you have been given a function, you first have to write it in the integral form, where you have this integral, and then you write a function here which you have been given with respect to such a variable. That's how it is. So let's look at the indefinite integrals. So let's say you have been given, okay, before we go into that, let's also understand some things here. So after you have been given a function, let's say f of x, then you write it in the integral form where you are integrating it with respect to x. What you have to do is that for the algebraic expressions or the polynomials or the quadratic equations, you have to add the power of the coefficients with 1 and then divide by the same power. That's how we integrate. So let's say, for example, you have been given, let's say, okay, let me just write a simple one, where you have been given x squared, then dx. If you have this, x squared is called a function, and then this is the integral of x. So you are integrating this with respect to x. So to integrate this from the point that I have just said, I said for you to integrate this, you add the power with 1 and then divide by the same power. Okay, so in this case then, how is this going to be? So this is going to be x squared. So here we are going to add 1, divide by 2 plus 1. Okay, this is how we go about it. And then you go further to simplify this. So here we have x, then 2 plus 1 is what? It's 3, over 2 plus 1 down there, it's 3. So this is how we integrate whenever you have been given a function. So let's say you have been given another function here where you have, let's say, 2x. Then you are integrating this with respect to x. How can you go about this one? So for this one also you do likewise, because any variable or number we don't have a power, then there is a power of 1. So in this case then, this simply means it's 2x power 1. So even if they don't include a power here, we already know that there is a 1 here. They might not include it, but in the mind you should know that there is a 1. So following the rules, in this case we are going to add the power with what? With 1. and then divide by the same power, that is 1 plus 1. So we are going to have what? 2x, and then when we add power 1 plus 1, we are going to have 2 over, down there we are going to have 2 also. So we can simplify this further, where we cancel the 2 in front, and then we are going to remain with x squared. So this is the integral part. Okay, so whatever we are doing here is what we call indefinite integrals, because we are not given the limits. Okay, so you understand this as we go further. So now, what I have just explained is the part at which we integrate, how we integrate the given algebra, quadratic equation, or the polynomial. Now, when you are done with what we have been doing, you add a constant. In most books, a constant is represented by C. In others, you can see it represented by K. So whatever value or whatever letter they can use or variable, it does not matter. That has to represent the constant. However, in most books, they use C. So it's recommended that you use C or K according to whatever you have been directed to use by the lecturer or whoever is lecturing you. So in this case then, let's look at further examples. Let's say you have been given, let's say, a function where you have f of x equals to 3x squared. So you will be given such an expression, and then you have been asked to integrate. By the way, integration is the same as antiderivative. So you can either be told to integrate or to find the antiderivative. So antiderivative is the same as integration. So in some books they may use antiderivative, while in others they may use integration. It's just the same thing. So when you have been given a function such as this one, the first step is to express this into an integral form. So you only express the right part of this function. So we are going to have what? The integral of 3x squared with respect to what? So with respect to the variable that is present in the expression, which is x in this case. So here we are going to write what? Dx. So after you are done with this part, what do we have to do next? Now, as we have discussed earlier, you have to add the power with 1 and then divide by the same power. So in this case then, we are going to have 3x 2 plus what? Plus 1 over 2 plus 1. Now, I said after you are done with this part, you add a constant c. Okay, so a constant c can be any value. When you have been given the values of x and y, here in this case you can replace them. Okay, so here we simply write y. Okay, since we are looking for the equation. So in this case then, let's simplify that further. So in this case, we are going to add the power and then also the one that's the denominator there. So we are going to have 3x. 2 added to 1 is what? Is 3. So the power will be 3 over 2 added to 1, so the denominator will be also 3. Then plus the constant what? C. Now, as we can see here, these 3 and these 3 here, we can cancel them out. So we are going to remain with what? We are going to remain with y equals to x power 3 plus the constant value c. That's how we find the integration equations. So you can be given even more than one functions. Let's say you have been given f of x. By the way, where they write f of x, they can also write y. It's just the same. So let's say, let me even use y here. So let's say you have y equals to 5x raised to power 4 plus 3, or rather let me just write 4x cubic minus, here let me just use minus. Let's say you have also, let's say 6x squared, and then let's say minus x plus 2. How can we go about this one? So for you to integrate this, you also have to express it in form of what? The integral. So how can we express this in integral form? It's very simple. You just introduce the integral, where you are going to have the integral of 5 of x power 4 plus 4 of x raised to power 3 minus 6x squared, then minus x added to 2. So all of these will be with respect to what? To x. So as you can see, this dx here is integrating all of these. So in this case, we can multiply this dx throughout here. So meaning we are integrating this individually. So we are integrating it individually in such a manner that we are going to have gx here, then plus, we also integrate this individually. Even this one will be integrated individually. Okay, even this one will be integrated individually. Added to, even this one will be integrated individually. So even the two there will be integrated individually. So when you have been given such a long equation or function, you have to integrate each function individually. Okay, so we can even add y here. So in this case then, when you remember what you have been doing, we said you simply add 1 to the power and then divide the same power. So in this case, for us to integrate this part here, what are we going to do? We are going to add 1 to the power. So we are going to have 5x power 4 plus what? Plus 1 over 4 plus 1. Then we come to the next, we do likewise. So we are going to have 4x, then 3 added 1. We are going to have the denominator 3 plus 1. Then we subtract. Here we have 6x squared. So it's squared plus 1 over squared plus what? Plus 1. Then here we have minus. Here it's just x. So it's just x. Remember we said earlier that when you don't have a power, it means there is a power of what? Of 1. So it's just simply 1 here. So we add 1, we have 1. So over 1 plus 1. Now, here we have the what? The constant number. Now, we know the fact that by the power rule, any number raised to power 0 or any variable raised to power 0 is 1. So if we have the integral of 2, do you agree that this is the same as 2x power 0? Because x power 0 is what? Is 1. So this is the same as 2. Okay? Here we have 1. Now what is 2 multiplied by 1? Of course it's simply 2. So this implies that whether you have this or you have this, it's just the same thing, since x power 0 is simply 1. Okay, so whether I write this or I write that, it does not affect anything. Now, knowing that fact, we can simply replace where we have the integral of the 2 value, the integral of 2 with what? With 2x power 0. So there, let me just add it from here for the sake of space. So there where we have simply 2, we are just going to add x power 0 because x is the variable that is present inside the function here. So in this case, we are going to add 1 to the power over the same power. Okay, and then plus constant c. So now, the one point you should understand here is that whenever you have been given to integrate a constant number, you simply add the variable that is present raised to power 0. That's how it goes. So in this case, then we're going to have 5. Then power there we have 4 plus 1, which is of course 5, over, down there the denominator is 4 plus 1 also, so it's 5. Then added to 4, we have 4 here also. Then x, 3 plus 1 as the power there we have 4 over what? Over 4. Then subtract. Then we have 6x. Then on the power there we have 2 plus 1, which is 3, so over 3 also. Then here we have x, so x, power there it's 1 plus 1, which of course we have 2 divided by 2. Then plus here we have 2x power 1 over 1. 0 plus 1 was the power there is just 1. So let's wrap the top part so that we create more space. So make sure that you practice more of this so that you get a clear picture. So that's how it is when it comes to this. So we have y equals to, now we can simplify this further where we have this and that can cancel. So here we are just going to remain with 5 power x power 5 rather. Here we are going to add the constant value c, I forgot that. So we come on the second part here, we also can divide 4 into 4 is 1, so we are just remaining with x power 4. And then 3 into 6, we know is what? It's 2. So x power 3. Okay, and then here we have minus. So now we don't have any number that is dividing there. So we simply have 1 over 2 x squared. Because x squared multiplied by 1, it's just x squared. So even if you write it in this form or in this form that I have written, it's simply okay. If you want, you can just write it like I wrote here. It does not matter. Then plus here. So when we simplify this 1 into 2, it's simply 2x. Now, as I said earlier, even if you don't include power, provided it is 1, it does not matter. So here we have the constant value of c. So this is it for this question that we had. So this is how we go about it whenever you have been given many functions. Let's look at one more last example on the same. So let's say you have been given y equal to, let's say, 2x power 3 plus 3x squared minus, let's say, 4x plus, let's say, 3. How can we go about this one? So from what we have discussed earlier, you may try out this one. So in this case, we are going to express this in form of the integral. So we are going to have what? Y equal to y, or rather, let me just write that properly. You have y equal to integral of what? 2x power 3 plus 3x squared minus 4x added to what? To 3. So after you are done with this part, you write it with respect to whatever variable you are integrating it. So we are integrating it with respect to x. So in this case, you multiply this throughout in this function. So you are going to have y equal to, so you integrate it individually. So you are going to have x power 3 dx, okay, and then plus integral of 3x squared dx, then integral of negative 4, or rather integral of here 4. By the way, in the first expression, I just remembered I was forgetting to add the x. So, like I am doing here. So, make sure that you go back and write likewise, because I was not writing this dx here. If I was, then I just skipped my mind in case I forgot that. Okay, so here we have 3 dx. Okay, so let's just wrap the top part here so that we can have the space. Okay, so in this case then, let's integrate these. So here we have, remember we have 3 here. Okay, we have 3 here. So in this case then, what is the integration of this? Remember, you add 1 to the power, so 3 plus 1, divided by the same power, that is 3 plus 1. You come to the next, you add power with 1, that is 2 plus 1, divide the same power, that is 2 plus 1. Here you subtract 4. So there you don't have any power. Remember, we have said it means there is 1 here, so we add 1 to the 1 we have already. So we have even the same there. So remember the integration of a constant number. It means there is what there? Okay, by now you understand it's x power 0, then plus constant c. By the way, you add what? You add 1 to the power here to the 0 over the same 0 plus 1. That's how we go about this one. So make sure that you follow up. If you have been following up, I'm sure you have even already done this one. Okay, so here we have x raised to power 3 plus 1 there, it's 4, over 3 plus 1 as the denominator is 4, then plus 3x. Okay, 2 plus 1 as the power there, we have what? We have 3. Okay, let me just wrap this part here so that we are not inconvenienced. So here we have 3, okay, then minus 4, or rather even divided by the same power, that is 3, then minus 4x. On top there we have 1 plus 1, which of course is 2 over 2, then plus 0 plus 1 as the power, we have 1, so it's going to be 3x power 1 over 1, then plus the constant value c. So let me just wrap all these because there are a lot of them in here. There are a lot of them on here. Okay, hopefully you are following up whatever we have done here, whatever we have done this far. So this is the indefinite integral. That's how we go about it. So in this case, here we had 1, and here we also had 4. So let's simplify this. So 2 here, it's 1, 2 there, it's 2, so we have 1 over 2, x raised to power 4. Okay, let me just, x to power 4, then plus 3 and 3 can cancel, we have x power 3, and then minus 2 into 4 can go how many times? Twice. So we have 2x, rather there was a 2 there, so squared here, then plus x, 3x power 1. So I said power 1, you cannot include it if you want, and then when you divide 1 into 3, it's just 3, so 3x there, then plus the constant value, what? C. So that's how we go about this one. So you can even be given the trigonometric functions, where you, let's say you have integrate y equals to cos x. But for the integration of trigonometric functions, you just need to find a lot of them, like how does this function change to this when you are integrating. For example, there is just a constant way or the specific way to which certain functions of trigonometry changes. So for example, when you have cos, when you are integrating cos, there is a different way in which it is integrated. So in this case, it's a constant value. So when you integrate cos, it always gives what? It always gives sine x. It's by fact. So let's say you have been given this as a function. So you write it in the integral form. So you are integrating what? Cos x with respect to x. So what is the integration of cos x? So by fact, it is known as sine x. It means you are done. So let's say you have been given y. Let's say y equals to sine x. So what is the integration of sine x? So integration of sine x is y equals to integral of sine x. So in this case, with respect to what? To x. So in this case then, what is the integration of sine x? Okay, it's negative cos x. So these are known as the fact answers. Okay. Now, we are going to do in the next video the trigonometric identities, integration of trigonometric identities. So make sure that you hit the notification button, you subscribe so that you watch the next video on the trigonometric identities so that you see how we integrate them as well, because they are quite complicated as compared to these simple ones. So make sure that you also watch a video on those. So let's also do the definite integrals. So we are done with the indefinite. Now let's look at the definite now. So the definite integrals is where you have been given now the limits, okay? The limits on the integral part. So this is written in a form of the integral of the given limits of, let's say, a and b of the function. Let's say the function is f of x with respect to dx. Now, b is known as the upper limit, whilst a is known as the lower limit. So you'll be given certain values here on a and b. So what you have to do after you have integrated the given expression, you have to replace these values, the upper limit and also the lower limit, into the function. Now, the way it is, when you replace with the upper limit, you subtract the same integrated value you have, subtract the values of what? Of a. Oh, all right, don't worry, you understand. Let's look at an example. Let's say you have been given, in this case, let's say 4 as the upper limit and 1 as the lower limit of the function let's say the function is 3x, let's say squared, minus here 2x, okay, then plus 3, okay, you can be given such, and then here with respect to x. You have been asked to integrate this or to find the value of this. How can we go about this one? Okay, so for this one, it's very simple. What you have to do, we have already discussed how to integrate this. So you can go further and integrate that function in there. So remember what we did. Okay, you multiply this with throughout in here. So this will just be coming out the way it is. So integral of 4 and 1, 3x squared with respect to dx minus integral of 4, 1, 2x with respect to what? To dx plus integral of 4, 1, here we have 3 dx. Okay, so let's go ahead and integrate this. So in this case then, okay, let me just write y here. So in this case then, we are going to integrate this. So we are going to have y equal to, let's represent this being there. So we are going to integrate. So what is the integration of 3x squared? So by now you understand it's 3x cubic over 3 rather. Then minus here 2x. What's the integration of 2x? Of course it's just 2x squared over 2. Then added to, what is the integration of 3? It's just 3x. So we have already discussed how to go about this. So make sure that you have understood what we have done, or if you haven't, go back, until you understand. So here we have 4, and then here we have 1 as the limits. Okay, so let's just wrap the top part here so that we can have more space for ourselves. Okay, hopefully that you are following. Okay, my happiness will be that you are understanding whatever we are doing here. So we have y equals to, so we can simplify this further. So this 2 and this 2 can cancel, this 3 and this 3 can cancel. So in this case, we are just remaining with x power 3, then minus x squared, then plus 3x. Okay, for this one, where you are given the limits, you don't add the what? You don't add the constant value c. You don't do that. For the definite integrals, you don't add the constant value c. Okay, so in this case, after you are done with this, you start now replacing. So you firstly replace with the upper limit. So you're going to have what? Where there is x, you put what? 4. So you're going to have 4 power 3 minus 4 squared plus 3. Where there is x, 4. Okay, you are done. After you are done with replacing with the upper limit, you also subtract and you replace the what? The lower limit. Remember the lower limit in this case, in our case is 1. So you are going to replace where there is x in here with what? With 1. So you are going to have 1 raised to power 3, then minus 1 squared, then plus 3, and then here we have 1. So that's how we replace whenever you have been given the limits, the upper limit and the lower limit. That's how we go about it. Okay, so in this case then we are going to have y is equal to, so let's simplify that. What is 4 raised to power 3? So 4 raised to power 3 is what? 64. Then minus 4 squared is what? 16. And then added to, what is 3 multiplied by 4? That is 12. Okay, so let's put that in the brackets. Then we subtract what we have on the right side. So whatever value 1 will be raised to, it's simply 1. So whether you have 1 power 100, 1 power 200, 1 power 0, 1 power negative, whatever number you have as the power of 1, it's simply 1. So 1 power 3 is what? It's simply 1. As I am from saying, so 1 power 2 is what? 1. Then 3 multiplied by 1 is what? It's 3. Okay, so let's simplify further. So in this case, then we are going to have 64, subtract 16, then we add 12. What is the answer there? Okay, it's simply 60. So we're going to have 60. Okay, then minus here. So this 0 and this 0 cancel. We are just going to remain with what? With 3. So what is 60 minus 3? Of course, it's 57. So in this case then, our value of the integral given expression is 57. So that's how we find it. So we conclude to say the value of the function is 57. So that's how we go about it. So whatever limit you have been given, you do likewise. Whatever function you have been given, you simply first integrate, and then after you integrate, remember, don't include the constant value c. After you integrate, you also replace the upper limit, then you subtract, you replace also the lower limit. The value you have there is your final answer. That's how we go about it, just like we have done in the previous example. Thanks once again, guys, for staying this far. Please like, subscribe, share, and turn on the notification button so that you are updated whenever I upload a new video. Stay blessed.